The EU's top foreign policy boss has criticised Israel over its recent attacks on UN peacekeeping troops in Lebanon. Josep Borrell's remarks echo the strongest condemnation voiced across the bloc regarding the Middle East. Speaking to reporters in Luxembourg, he said EU member states agreed to a statement demanding Israel stop attacking UNIFIL.
It's completely unacceptable attacking United Nations troops. And I want to remind everybody that it's not the Secretary General of United Nations who decides about this mission staying or not staying. It's the Security Council who has to take these kind of decisions. So stop blaming Secretary Guterres.
Israeli troops forced their way into one of UNIFIL's bases in Lebanon over the weekend, destroying the main gate and injuring at least 15 soldiers. Borrell's criticism was echoed by Dutch officials.
Yeah, I've called the Israeli Foreign Minister, Israel Katz, yesterday, and I have expressed that this is unacceptable and this should stop and it should be investigated as soon as possible. The IDF has also indicated that it would investigate itself these shootings and incidents. This has to stop.
The incident took place after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu accused the UN peacekeeping mission of providing Hezbollah terrorists with human shields.
German Chancellor Olaf Scholz and EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen welcomed the 6 West Balkan states to Berlin on Monday as part of the 10-year Berlin Process Summit. The Berlin process aims to bring countries such as Serbia, Kosovo, Montenegro, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Albania and North Macedonia together to sign agreements to enable them to become full EU member states. 5 out of 6 agreements were signed and restrictions on export from Serbia to Kosovo were lifted. Scholz underlined that the states could only join together despite some of them likely to meet conditions quicker than the others. He encouraged the states to help each other out. Montenegro is seen as the first promising country to be integrated to Europe, despite the process beginning more than 20 years ago. Whilst Montenegro expects to meet all the requirements before 2028, Scholz said he hopes the whole process would be complete before 2030. But with Ukraine and Moldova's memberships to the EU being accelerated since Russia's full-scale invasion in Ukraine, it's likely to leave a sour taste in the mouth of the 6 Balkan states. Liv Stroud, in Berlin, for Euronews.
China held large-scale military exercises around Taiwan and its islands in what it called a warning against Taiwan's independence. The drills come days after Taiwan's President Lai gave a speech on Taiwan's National Day. He said China has no right to represent the island and declared his commitment to resist annexation. Taiwan's defense ministry condemns the drills as a provocation and say they are prepared to retaliate.
军这种非理性的挑衅军演，不但会危及台海的安全情势，无益于两岸关系的良性发展，更严重地破坏印太区域的安全情势，威胁以规则为基础的国际秩序。
China have increased its military exercises around Taiwan in recent years. In May, similar large-scale drills followed Lai's inauguration. China has previously said Taiwan's independence is a dead end and that annexation by Beijing is a historical inevitability.
Poland is accelerating efforts to strengthen the defense of its borders with Russia and Belarus. Prime Minister Donald Tusk announced on Monday that construction of the so-called East Shield project will begin earlier than planned, by the end of this year instead of next. This project will increase military fortifications and other defense measures on Poland's eastern border over a length of approximately 800 kilometers. Construction is expected to last 4 years. Tusk was present at a training ground on Monday where the first exercises took place in testing elements of the project's new infrastructure and emphasized that it is part of a combined effort with the Baltic states and Finland.
Cieszę się, że tarcza wschód rusza tak na serio. Jest to wspólne przedsięwzięcie nie tylko polskie, ponieważ ono jest połączone także z wysiłkiem państw bałtyckich, jeśli chodzi o bałtycką linię obrony, Finlandia.
Tusk also said that he is to discuss European funding for the project in Brussels in the near future.
The European Peace Facility was created before the Ukrainian war as an instrument to enhance the EU's ability to prevent conflicts. But the Russian invasion changed it all. Since then, the EPF has been used to partially reimburse member states for the weapons and ammunition donated to Kiev. But for more than a year now, Hungary has been blocking the transfer of 6.6 billion euros to Ukraine.
These funds are supposed to help Ukraine to strengthen its defense sector and to provide, of course, ammunition to the country and all the support EU can provide to so that Ukraine keeps fighting this war.
Since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, the funds have been growing. In total, the EPF amounts to 17 billion euros now, from which more than 11 billion is reserved for Ukraine. This money comes from the contributions of EU member states, and it is not part of the EU budget. But for the money to flow to Ukraine, member states have to approve it unanimously, and Hungary opposes it.
And Hungary, and particularly Orban, has been very publicly vocal that he is against providing more support to Ukraine. And of course, he also plays the game in relation with what happens in the US politics, because he is a very friendly, with very friendly relations with Donald Trump. And he apparently does not, wants to block all the support to Ukraine. So just in case Trump comes back to the office, Trump is not also signed up to contribute to providing more loans to Ukraine.
That is why European Union officials and diplomats are exploring a new plan to bypass Hungary's held veto. The plan will allow member states to make financial contributions to the EPF on a voluntary basis, rather than a mandatory one. The discussions are ongoing.
The European Commission wants Chinese online marketplace Temu to clarify what it is doing to prevent the sale of illegal products on its website. Temu is among a group of companies such as Amazon, Apple and Shein that have received requests for information from the European Commission. The company has until the 21st of October to reply to the Commission's questions. For months, Temu has been obliged to comply with the European Digital Services Act, as it was designated a very large online platform with more than 45 million EU users in May. The Association of European Retailers warns of unfair competition.
I think as a consumer, you should be able to trust that the products that you buy online are safe, that your rights are respected. And I think this is where we see the problem. That these players don't respect the rules, and that in the end, you might think as a consumer you have a deal, but then you might not can have the product repaired. There might be some kind of high levels of chemicals in there, which is bad for your health. It might be made with forced labor.
In a statement provided to Euronews, Temu says it's cooperating with the European Commission's request. Consumer safety is a top priority and we welcome feedback from all stakeholders, a company spokesperson said. But if Brussels decides the shopping platform does not comply with the legislation, it may impose a financial penalty.
Gentlemen, the speakers will now be available for photography.
As France and the EU grapple with a severe car industry crisis, French President Emmanuel Macron inaugurated on Monday the 90th edition of the Paris Motor Show. It's one of the most important events within the automobile industry. And just to give you a few numbers about this crisis that is hitting France, particularly new car registrations have been plummeting within the country these past few months, reaching their lowest level in 20 years. And we're seeing similar trends across across Europe, minus 18% in new car registrations in August. And major players within the French automobile industry, such as, for example, Michelin, have even paused production at some of their specialty tire factories in France. The French president did mention this difficult moment for French and EU car makers, due in part to the ferocious competition from Chinese rivals. He did say on Monday that it is necessary in times like these to protect France. It's normal to put in place tariffs, he said, alluding to the EU Commission's plan to heavily tax cheap electric vehicles that are produced by Chinese car makers and that have been flooding the EU market and driving the prices down. Sofia Katzenkova reporting from Paris for Euronews.
3, 2, 1.
A NASA spacecraft blasted off on Monday on a quest to explore Jupiter's moon, Europa, and reveal whether its vast hidden ocean might hold the keys to life. It will take Europa Clipper 5.5 years to reach Jupiter. Scientists are almost certain a deep global ocean exists beneath Europa's icy crust, and where there is water, there could be life, making the moon one of the most promising places out there to hunt for it. Europa Clipper won't look for life itself, as it has no life detectors. Instead, the spacecraft will zero in on the ingredients necessary to sustain life, searching for organic compounds and other clues as it peers beneath the ice for suitable conditions. If conditions are found to be favorable for life at Europa, it opens up the possibility of life at other ocean worlds in our solar system and beyond, according to scientists. With an underground ocean and geysers, Saturn's moon Enceladus is another top candidate.